Hi, this is Lamar, and you're listening to Getting to Third Space with Lamar and Tom. A third space is a term that refers to a safe space for people to come together for respectful dialogue in a spirit of listening, sharing, and learning. In this podcast, we explore what it means to have third space conversations, and we try to model them. If you like what you hear in this podcast, please be sure to subscribe, share it, and of course, like it. The more people join us, the quicker we get to third space as a society. Now let's get to third space today.
Hey, Lamar, how's it going?
Hi, Tom. Things are just hunky-dory here in Kansas land.
Hunky-dory. I love that. I love that. You know, there was a song about hunky-dory, but...
Was it really?
Yeah. You know, the old camp song?
I did.
Called Arky Arky.
Oh, yes. Now I do remember.
Okay. All right.
In fact, I think I might have sung it when you let it once or twice.
Well, I let it many times years ago. So.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Back in the day.
Well, hey.
Well, good.
Hey, happy St. Patrick's Day.
To you as well.
Thank you. How are you planning on celebrating?
Like I do every year.
Like me?
Just pretty much like you.
Yeah, we're not really St. Patrick's Day guys, are we?
No, and I don't put people down for being really into St. Patrick's Day. It's just not a tradition that I've really ever connected with, you know?
Yeah, I mean,
but that's okay.
This is about as green as I get, really, right here on this mock turtleneck. And
yeah, that's greener than where I'm at, so, but that's okay.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I wish all of our Irish friends a wonderful St. Patrick's Day, and I just want to say, enjoy yourselves. And be safe. Yeah. Please be safe. Yeah. You're too valuable to this world. We don't want to lose you. So be careful out there. So, hey, right. I do have to tell you, though, that on the day we're recording this, our temperature dropped 40 degrees from the day before.
Yeah, I hear you.
I was
crazy.
In a golf shirt yesterday, short sleeve golf shirt, walking around outside, walking the dog. Today, I'm back in a mock turtleneck with a sweatshirt. So,
well, you know, spring in the U.S. is, you know, unpredictable, but that's the way it is.
Well, many things are unpredictable, aren't they?
And we're going to talk about some of those today, I think.
We are going to talk about those. And, you know, and I guess we're going to start with really kind of a solemn thing.
Absolutely, yeah.
And that is that we, as people know, we're both from Iowa. We have deep roots in Iowa. And, you know, probably no matter how far we live away from Iowa, a part of our life and our heart will always still be there. And so it was very, very sad to know that there were 6 members of the Iowa National Guard who died in Kuwait as a part of Epic Fury. And we just wanted to take a moment to mention them and to honor them in that way. They are not the only ones who have died at this point, but this one hit close to home. I don't know if you know this or not, but I had a young woman who worked for me years ago who was part of the Iowa National Guard. Okay. And I immediately thought about her because she would be about the same age as some of these folks at this point in time. So you want to go every other one?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. You want to start or you want me to start?
Sure. I'll go ahead and start. Major Jeffrey R. O'Brien, who was 45 years old at the time of his death, from Indianola, Iowa.
Yeah. Captain Cody A. Khork, 35, of Winter Haven, Florida.
And Master Sergeant Nicole M. Armour, 39, of White Bear Lake, Minnesota.
And Sergeant First Class Noah L. Teachins, 42, of Bellevue, Nebraska.
And Sergeant Declan J. Cody, 20, of Des Moines, Iowa.
And finally, Chief Warrant Officer 3, Robert M. Marzan, 54, of Sacramento, California. I think, Lamar, there was something I didn't know until these folks were reported as being killed in Kuwait. And that is that depending upon the specialty, you can serve in a National Guard that is way outside your own state.
Right.
I just assumed everybody was from Iowa, right?
Yeah, and I kind of assumed that too, although I had known that vaguely before, but this kind of brings it home.
I think we probably should also note that the role of the Iowa National Guard is in logistics. And so they were assigned to what's called the 103rd Sustainment Command of the Army Reserve. They're in Iowa,
Mhm.
and their job is really just run a command center and provide food, water, fuel, ammunition, transportation of equipment, and
Right.
so on. Theirs is really logistical and support. So it would be a pretty rare circumstance where they would ever take up a gun and engage in fighting. So our hearts go out to the families of these folks, and I know that already by this time that some have been laid to rest.
And this is something we're going to talk about today is what's going on in Iran and what's going on in the U.S. in relationship to this. But there's, I mean, it was terrible news that many of us received when this happened, that the U.S. received. But it's a bigger picture of death and destruction in that whole region.
Yeah.
That's something we should probably talk a little bit about.
Yeah.
Probably right now, I think the most talked about devastation and right now, I think it's also kind of under investigation is the destruction of a school, a girls' school.
Yeah.
And as far as we know, there would have been 108 girls killed at that school because of a missile strike on that school. In addition to that, the teachers and administration, right?
Yeah. The Tomahawk missile, which are really controlled by very, very few countries.
Right.
They're principally the United States. And there has been a Pentagon investigation that just in the last couple of days or so has come out and said, no, this was a U.S. strike on this school.
Yeah. But in addition to that information in Iran, as of, I think, March 3rd, anyway, is the data that we're looking at, there were 1,270 Iranians who are documented as being killed, plus 104 on a ship that was sunk. And we know that there's more than one vessels that were sunk. These numbers as of March 3rd are, by the time you hear this podcast, are obviously going to climb.
Yeah. I mean, just earlier today on a news report, I heard that President Trump indicated that the devastation in Iran has been so heavy already that there, in his words, there's nothing else left to target.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that could be an exaggeration, but what if what we saw in Gaza is anything like what is being planned for Iran and Lebanon? It's unbelievably devastating. And did you mention how many have died even in Lebanon?
No, I didn't at this point. But in Lebanon, 594 people as of March 3rd were documented as being killed in strikes, including in that numbers 84 children.
Yeah. Which
brings the documented number to, almost 190 children have been killed as far as that's been documented.
Yeah. And of course, the U.S. has had casualties. We have the 6 from the Iowa National Guard. There have been 2 others since that time.
Mm-hmm. And numbers wounded as well.
Yeah, at least 140 known to have been wounded. So
yeah,
there's a price that's being paid all the way around, which, all of this, of course, Lamar, it leads us to really the point of our conversation today, right?
Yeah. Right.
What in the world is going on? Is this even a war? And are these people dying as part of a war or something else?
Well, this has been confusing, to say the least, right? Because
I just want to say congratulations on the understatement of the week.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's been confusing because the word war has not been used in the beginning, but then it was used inconsistently. And then it has finally, I think, has finally been embraced by the administration. And so it's been, what is a war anyway, right? So where I'm at, I'm saying, it's a war. It's just been really confusing to us because it was never presented to the people or to Congress as we are at war. There's not been a formal declaration. There's, certainly we haven't been informed that we are at war for these reasons.
Right. No, we haven't. We haven't.
This has been a really confusing action that's happened.
Yeah. But we also know that this confusion for the American people is not new. That about whether or not the action that we're in is a war or not. I mean, that was it. It seemed like it took years for the Vietnam War to actually be called the Vietnam War. Right. It was a police action or something. I forget what the term was that they used for it. We know that
conflict.
Conflict, yes, Vietnam conflict, yes, right. And that one was what, 50,000 Americans that died, and many, many more Vietnamese. I mean, it was just But we also know that U.S. presidents since after World War II will move into warlike scenarios without an act of Congress, which is just, it's maddening. And I think what was really disturbing about this one was that it was a surprise. And it was a surprise in the sense that just the day before there was some conciliatory words spoken by Iranian negotiators and even U.S. negotiators. And then all of a sudden it's like, whoop, nope. There's a conversation between the U.S. president and the Prime Minister of Israel, and the next thing we know, we wake up to the news of the bombings.
Well, I'm going to go back to just this level of confusion.
Okay.
Because what you just described it's like all of a sudden, we know that there had been negotiations going on because that was reported, and that was something that was being covered and talked about. When you get to the point of a combined attack from the U.S. and Israel on Iran, you know that just doesn't happen, right? There is some planning and strategy that goes and communications that goes along with that for a period of time, but yet the appearance was that, oh no, we're in negotiations. When it happened, I guess what I struggle with, and probably many of our citizens struggle with, is it was not brought to us as this is what we're doing and why. And it was not brought to Congress. So even our Congress was taken by surprise.
Right.
Most of them. And so the people that you and I have voted for, or at least won in the elections that we participated in to be our representatives, to be able to be part of the decision making of this country, were not part of the decision making about this war. And so I really feel like we are incredibly detached, which makes, if we don't have information, Tom, we know, good studies, good psychological studies have shown if we don't have information about critical issues in our lives, we make them up, fill in the blanks.
Yeah.
And so I think that there's been a lot of filling in the blanks, which makes things very confusing. Again, I really feel like we are distanced from the relationship that we have as the people, from those that we have voted into office to represent us and to stand up and take care of our concerns. And that's something I think we need to wake up a lot more about, saying, there's not this accountability over important decisions like this one.
That's right.
This is like one of the most incredibly important decisions that could be made in the U.S. to wage war on somebody, and you didn't know about it.
Yeah. And close second outrage for me is the dismissive attitudes of some of our leaders that, well, yeah, people are going to die. That's just how it is. Well, here's a suggestion. How about if you send your own children? I mean, I do get a little hot about this because I was of draft age in Vietnam, and I saw two of my cousins get drafted. I saw a lot of people from the area that I lived in because, Iowa farm boys tend to be pretty big, strong guys that you can send to war, and they don't have a lot of connections and they don't have a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's really easy to draft people that are in a lower socioeconomic level, that are people that are desperate for some kind of opportunity in life. And by God, that's what we're doing. We're not drafting anybody, of course, right? Although there has been some talk.
Yeah, he's not taking it off the table.
That's not off the table. But if Congress and members of the administration were the first to send their children to war, we wouldn't have many wars. And that irritates me. But in the meantime, it's like, well, it's war. People are going to die.
When it comes to what our podcast is about, Tom.
Yes. So well, I know. I'm not going to rant anymore. I promise.
No, that's okay. I understand the feeling, and it's appropriate feelings and thoughts. But when I think about what we want to do is how do we, on issues like this, how do we talk about it intelligently if we don't have the information?
Absolutely.
And that's what I struggle with is, truthfully, we could talk about this as to why we're in this war. And we're going to use the term war because I think eventually the administration has called it a war.
Yeah, they have.
Why we're in this war. We could talk about it from almost, I think, 5 to 7 different perspectives, because that's how many different perspectives we were given as to why we're in this war. And so that makes it difficult. You all know I have a lot of coffee, right? So I had coffee with a friend of mine, and we were chatting about this, and he came up. I said, I'm still trying to figure out why we're in this war, and he came up with one of the responses of that the administration had given about, well, our president felt that we needed to strike first because he believed that we were going to have strikes against us.
He had a feeling.
But I don't criticize my friend for having that response, because that was one of the many answers that was given to us by the administration, which means that I don't know if I can have that he and I can have an intelligent conversation, because he has about as much information as I do, and it's not all the same.
Yeah.
It's confusing.
I've been listening to some of the press conferences in the afternoon with Caroline Levitt. And she likes to say, when she's questioned about why did we go to war, she said, the president had a feeling backed up by fact. So I want to say, okay, he had a feeling. Great. But what were the facts that gave him that feeling? Nobody's telling us what those facts were. I wouldn't criticize anybody for making a judgment call, because that's effectively what a judgment call is a feeling, but there has to be something behind it. There has to be some data. There has to be some fact behind it. And I'm just asking, but what's the fact? What's the data?
So again, I think the frustrations that we all are experiencing is we can't talk about this very intelligently.
No, we can't.
And we want to, because this is huge, and we have our not only do we have our service members in danger, and the service members have been killed, as we talked about at the beginning of the show, but we have had atrocities. I mean, we've had children who bombed in their school. We've had multiple other situations, right, where people have been who were non-combatants who've been killed, and so to me, those things deserve better scrutiny. If you and I can't talk about it as the people from the U.S., part of the country that was involved, if we can't answer the simple questions they're difficult questions, but they're not that hard to talk about.
That's right.
Then that leaves us in a state of not just confusion, Tom, but I think where it takes us is we continue down that road of partisanism, divisiveness, and being in different camps.
Well, and that's a very nice segue into.
Was that a softball? Did I just give you a softball?
You just gave me a softball. Thank you very much. So, as we were preparing for this this conversation, we ran across a Pew Research study that came out on the 5th of March, and what they found was that Americans, more than people from any other countries, see their fellow citizens as bad or very bad.
Yeah. Wow.
I mean, 53%, according to the study, 53% of Americans see other American citizens as bad or very bad. In Canada, Canadians see their fellow citizens, only 7% of them see their fellow citizens as bad or very bad.
In this survey, they surveyed 25 different countries.
Yes.
25 different countries on this question. In many countries, people see their fellow citizens as morally good or not. And out of 25, the U.S. rates the highest of saying, oh no, we see our fellow citizens as somewhat bad or very bad. You know, we're in our own corners and we have a hard time appreciating each other's perspectives and who we are.
Yeah.
Something you and I have been talking about for a long time.
Yeah, we've been doing this, we're in our 4th season.
Yeah.
This was kind of shocking news to see from the Pew Research Center on this. You know, when I think about my neighbors, I wouldn't have imagined it. I just wouldn't. I mean, we connect very well, we get along very well, but this idea that there are so many people, so many Americans that are looking at their fellow citizens and saying, well, you know, you're bad, you're very bad, you know, you're morally bankrupt, whatever. You know, Lamar, if we think that about one another here, what does that mean for how we see people who are not Americans or who we even perceive as not being part of our country?
That's a really interesting point to consider, Tom. I think I have alluded to or referenced, you know, this group that I'm a part of on occasion that we have divided, we have struggled over trying to be able to see perspectives other than our own, and I'm pleased to see some of the progress that we've made as we've intentionally tried to work together to understand and listen to where people are at. What continues to be a point for me that I think we have to keep working on is that I can be appreciative of you, even if we don't agree, over important things. I don't have to say, well, I'm not going to have a podcast with Tom anymore. I'm not going to have coffee with my friend. I'm not going to go to my group meetings that I'm a part of because I don't want to hear what someone else is thinking about.
Right.
Even if they don't necessarily believe it.
Yeah.
If they're thinking about it or processing, I don't want to go there because it doesn't align with where I'm at.
That's right.
Now, that's kind of maybe a human nature thing. I don't know, but it certainly is what keeps us apart from each other.
Yeah, it is. It is. And then not just about this war, but about other issues.
Yeah, absolutely.
As you were saying, you know, that what does it do to our ability to really build connection and relationship? I mean, I find this to be one of the most discouraging and disappointing things I've ever seen come from Pew.
It was shocking. Yeah.
And we'll put the link in the show notes, and I hope people will pull it up and take a look at it themselves. It's a horrifying snapshot of who we are as Americans, in my opinion. And we're better than that. We have been better than that, and we can be better than that. You know, maybe we should have a Let's Be Canadian campaign or something, but it's very sad. It's very sad.
So we've talked about the war in Iran, and I think we're not experts by any means, but
No.
we are part of the people, and the people in this country have a voice, or should have a voice.
Yeah.
Most certainly, we should be informed.
Yeah.
And most certainly in a democracy, we are represented, and our representatives need to give us a voice. And I'll be honest with you, I've both been frustrated and pleased that my representatives have responded to questions from the constituency, just not necessarily in the way I was hoping the response, but at least there's some response. I think this conversation, we're going to continue and look at what we really need to be focusing on, and that is, how do we, as people in this country, people in these communities, relate to each other in positive ways and appreciate each other.
Yeah. Well, this is a shorter than usual podcast for us, because I think that, as you pointed out, war is certainly not an area of expertise for us.
No.
I mean, we're two guys from pacifist churches, right? So, you know, we try not to study war no more, right? So this is not necessarily in our wheelhouse, and we will admit that right away.
Yeah.
This is certainly one of those cases where we don't know diddly squat, but we do have opinions about it.
We have opinions.
And people need to have opinions about it, because it's impacting all of us.
You know, we as a country that cares for each other, because I still have high trust and high hopes for us to continue to be that country that cares for each other,
Right.
and it supports each other.
Yep.
Regardless of whether we agree about war, we agree about violence, regardless of that, I'm going to support the people that I come in contact with.
Yeah.
I'm going to believe the best until I can't believe the best.
That's right. That's right. I think that's a really good way to be, Lamar. I like that.
Well, I'm learning.
Yeah.
I can't say that that's where I've always been. But
Well,
I'm learning.
I can't say that I've necessarily always been there either, and that there aren't days still when it's like, you know.
I know.
But yeah, I like that sentiment. I want to believe the best about who we are, and not the worst. So, you know, Pew folks, I hope that you guys will do this. You folks will do this thing again in a year, and I hope to see that we're no longer number one in that category. Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, so here we go. You know, anything exciting happening this weekend for you?
I am moving into a season of camping here.
Oh.
I'm enjoying that, and I have been invited to be part of some photography art presentations, and so I've been doing quite a bit of work.
Nice.
Getting those photos out and about, and so that's life-giving for me to be part of those two things. So
that's very nice. That's very nice.
And how about you? Golf swing coming along okay?
It is. It's coming along
right.
very nicely. We don't start actual league play for about a week from today on the 24th. So I'm looking forward to that. And it's actually beginning to appear like some golf-like weather, which is
in
kind
between
of nice.
the storms, right?
In between the storms and the temperature fluctuations. But in the meantime, it's flying cow season, and so now there's going to be somebody who's going to be listening, going, "Flying cow season? Is that like where they fly over and they drop things on you?" Or,
Yeah.
No, that's our semi-pro basketball team here in Frederick, and
wonderful.
they're just a delight to watch. So we're going to be going to a flying cow game this weekend. Woo!
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Tom.
Okay,
Well, as
Lamar.
always, this has been interesting, and thank you for working with me on those. This has been a tough one.
Yeah, it has. It has. Let's just let folks know that next up, make sure you tune in. It's going to be our annual April Fool's Day show.
Yeah.
Yeah. which we have a lot of fun with that one. So, okay.
All right.
All right. We'll see you, Lamar. Take care.
Okay. You too. Bye.
Bye-bye. Tom here. Thank you for listening to Getting to Third Space with Lamar and Tom. Remember to click on subscribe to get notices about new episodes, and be sure to like and share the podcast as well. Opinions and ideas expressed in this podcast are solely those of Lamar Roth and Tom Klaus, and we'd like to hear your opinions and ideas too. You can leave us a voice message on Spotify or you can email us at the addresses found in the show notes. Also, in the show notes, you can find links to some of the things we talked about today, so you can check them out yourself. Until next time, keep moving forward toward third space.
This podcast was reviewed and approved by Jake and Ebby Dogs Incorporated.